Yes guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Cardiff City World. Excited news. We finally have a manager. After weeks of chaos, boardroom arguments, disagreements, dissenting voices, the fans' frustration, Nathan Jones, Aaron Ramsey, Ian Evans, Des Buckingham, the merry-go-round of rumours is over. We finally have our guy. And it's not any of those names that we mentioned. It's Brian Barry Murphy. A name which many Cardiff fans probably greeted with maybe a Google search. But who is he really? What does he bring to the table? Is this another weird tan era curveball that's just going to go up in flames? Or is it a genius, under the radar, outside the box appointment that could implement change at Cardiff City Football Club? Let's break it all down. Who is Brian Barry Murphy? Well, let's look a little bit at the start first and foremost. Brief background tells us he's born in Cork, Ireland, was a midfielder. He played over 400 games, including stints at Preston, Sheffield Wednesday and Rochdale. He was known for being a kind of tidy but very intelligent footballer. We'll come back to that. A real football brain. Shifted into coaching at the end of his career, where he was at Rochdale, and he eventually became their manager. His big break, or his first opportunity in management, really came in that post-Rochdale era, where he went to Manchester City's elite development squad. It is Manchester City after all, but we will talk about that Rochdale spell in a lot more detail in just a second. Obviously, for recent years, he's been coaching the Manchester City elite development squad, their under-23s effectively from 2021. And then most recently, he's been Leicester City's assistant manager, first team coach, depending on the reports. But he's certainly a big part of Ruud van Nistelrooy's team. And a lot of people will ask, who the hell is this Pep wannabe with an Irish passport with Rochdale on his CV? And look, it's fair on the surface level. But when you deep dive and you really look into him, that's when you start to become a bit more impressed and a bit more understanding of why he is the new Cardiff City manager. So what is Brian Barry Murphy's footballing philosophy? Well, he likes possession based, which is just part and parcel for modern day football. But he's a really progressive coach and manager. He has a big emphasis on technical footballers, a real emphasis on fluidity, but intelligence. And one of the big things, which is really interesting, because it's one of the most basic things you learn as a footballer, but he is really about pass and move. That fluidity will really come into play. And if you only have to go and watch some of the highlights of that Rochdale side against some of the big boys in the Cup to really see that heavy influence from Pep's methodology, but also the way he likes to structure his build-up, create those overloads in midfield and then the wide areas. But there's a lot of... It's very strange. So out of possession, there's a lot of positional discipline. In possession, that's when you see the fluidity. It is flexible, and he is flexible, Brian Barry Murphy. His Rochdale team was not just ticky-tacky, pass nonsense with no direction, which is actually something we've seen from Cardiff in recent years. A lot of sideways passing, a lot of backwards, but no real motivation, no real progression of the ball in an attacking way. And I think he showed at Rochdale that he can go direct when needed. He can play the channels when needed. It's about the opposition, but also about the players available to you on any given day. Manchester City's academy players under him raved about him. They liked the way he thought differently. They liked his emotional intelligence. They liked his football IQ. And he worked and brought through some real big names. So let's look a little snapshot at Rochdale. During his time, they averaged 56% possession, which was actually like the top 5 for League One during that time. His pressing intensities, particularly in the middle of the pitch, preferred those pressing triggers and not just a chaotic press, which is something that Cardiff vastly need to work on. And then at Manchester City, the elite development squad, obviously won the Premier League too, averaging 2.4 goals per game. Now look, I'm not saying we're Manchester City and we're going to replicate that, but it's encouraging because it's an attacking manager who likes to let players express themselves and score goals. Big names that have come through under his tutelage: Oscar Bob, James McAtee, Rico Lewis, Cole Palmer, to name a few, all guided by Brian Barry Murphy. But let's have a little look at why Cardiff appointed him. Well, number one, when he did his interview, he absolutely blew them out of the water. From the moment he did that interview, there was members of that boardroom and people at the club who felt that he was the first candidate, the front runner. But of course, there's more than one person on the board, or there's a few people on the board. There's an owner who you never quite know what's going to do. Nathan Jones was obviously the experienced option, and I think everyone can kind of understand the search for, or the attempt to get Nathan Jones out of Charlton because of experience. He's proven, etc. Once that was not possible, in my eyes and from the people I spoke to, it was a straight race between Aaron Ramsey and Brian Barry Murphy. Probably for different reasons, really. I think Brian Barry Murphy is someone who's going to come in. He's going to raise the standards of professionalism and what's expected of the players, but not just the players, everybody at the club, and how they conduct themselves and how they treat their day-to-day work in terms of improving the football club. Aaron Ramsey indicated a more of a structural change, bringing in experienced people around him to make that side of the change to the football club. Now, Barry Murphy fits that kind of progressive, modern football manager type coach type. Of course he does. He's a developer. He likes to develop players and improve them. He's a tactician, can play a range of ways, but also is a very modern coach who's up with how football is played in 2025. But as I mentioned, his emotional intelligence. He is a thinker, and that is something which I think will really shine through, particularly in helping young players come through into the first team. We all want to see the likes of Dylan Lawler, Louis Giles progress into the first team. We all want to see Ruben Colwell find his groove and finally match his ability with his consistency. You know, Isaac Davis, we want to keep him fit and see what he can do. Kean Ashford's got to kick on from his breakout season. We have all these young players and more. Brian Barry Murphy, of course, is someone who's going to look to build around those young players, and I would be shocked if that is not part of his remit. A club looking to rebuild after relegation, you kind of go two ways. You go experience, or you go with a full reset, and I think this is more of a reset. This is a club trying to restructure, and they may see him as a coach first, but don't make no mistake, he's a good talker. He knows how to deal with the media. And of course, is there a question, was he a Wasserman recommendation? Well, he's a Wasserman client, so you'd have to say that fingerprints are around this appointment. But ultimately, from Wasserman to the board to the owner, there were several people in between, and Wasserman didn't conduct those interviews, so they weren't the people who were impressed by the way he spoke, what he talked about, his plans for the football club and the football team. So you can't, I don't think, put it down to that. Is it budget friendly? I'd imagine so. Compared to Nathan Jones, of course it is. Compared to some other choices, I think you can't ignore the fact that it is budget friendly. But I also would be a hypocrite. You know, I made a video about Brian Barry Murphy 7 or 8 months ago, saying Cardiff must get him into the football club in whatever role they can at all costs, and I stand by that. Now, I didn't expect him to be the manager, and we'll say that, but City still don't have a football operations team, so a manager with coaching autonomy is appealing. A manager who can deal with the different aspects of the football club is massive. Do I think he needs support? Do I think we need structure? Yeah. And I think this is the perfect opportunity. With a manager like this, is someone you can build around for the long term. And if you put the tools in place and the support in place for him, I believe he can be the guy to completely evolve this football club if he gets the support, if he gets the right people around him. Now is the time. You've just been relegated, so let's build around this exciting appointment. Let's talk about his time at Rochdale. What did he do at Rochdale and Manchester City? Well, at Rochdale, he worked on peanuts. He implemented young footballers into the first team. He developed players. He finished 18th in League One before parting ways. Some fans were critical of his lack of pragmatism under pressure, but also very positive about the style of football and the way he went about it. What people forget is he was there about 2.5 seasons, 3 years. He came in with, I think it was about 10 games to go, won 6 of them, and kept them up from a position they had no business staying up from. They were down. Following that, he kept them up again. And then, yes, in the 3rd season, Rochdale ended up going down. Now, Cardiff City is not Rochdale. There's a lot more pressure. There's a lot more eyes on you and media pressure, fan pressure, etc. But what it also has is Cardiff City is a big club with really, really good footballers. There's a lot of really good footballers with technical ability in that squad already and coming up through the academy. So make no mistake, even if he's working on a bit of a budget, it's going to be way, way, way more than what he was working on at Rochdale, and the players are going to be a big step up for him. So you should be able to see, given a bit of time to implement his playing style and his thoughts, something real good. At Manchester City, obviously he coached this next generation of stars, your Cole Palmers, your Rico Lewis, etc., all playing first team football, either Chelsea and Man City. He played a massive role in transitioning them from young, exciting talents into elite footballers, into players who were being selected by Pep Guardiola in the first team. And he is not someone who really would historically go for a lot of young players. He likes the ready-made player. But you've got to think of Brian Barry Murphy as he is a developer. He is someone who will look at the squad he's got and try and improve each of those footballers day to day. Will that result in everybody improving? Of course not. He will have to weed out players who don't match his standards, who've got the wrong attitude, etc. There'll be players who want to leave for other reasons. He has to work out that very quickly because it's 13th of June. But to me, look, Cardiff is results driven always. But League One, he's been there, he's played there. He's also played at the very, or he's been a manager at the top level in the Manchester City system. He's used to pressure. He's been in League One, so he knows what the league is. Of course, Cardiff City is different to Rochdale or Manchester City's development team, or even being an assistant at Leicester. But he has been around high pressure environments and he has thrived in those environments. We will have a video out looking at the risks and where there may be some problems, but we'll do that as a separate video because we want to give a balanced view so we can have a real good look at our new manager. But let's look at how he will set up at Cardiff City. First things first, I think we can expect a bit of a switch from the chaos pressing and be a bit more structured in the way we press and have much more defined trigger points where we go and try and win the ball high up the field. I think mostly he likes that 4-3-3, which is really interesting because Omar Rhys tried a single pivot and it didn't work. I think in order for him to do that system, he will need a very athletic, physical CDM or number 6. And I wouldn't be shocked to see that someone like that come in, maybe an Ethan Galbraith, someone like that, like a deep line playmaker who's also got the physicality, and then a Ruben Colwell and an Alex Robertson as the two either side. Who knows? But he does, he can switch to a 4-2-3-1, which is a bit more less open. But he likes technical ability. He likes pace in the wide areas. He will need centre backs who are comfortable on the ball. Rhys, Dylan Lawler, Will Fish, both very comfortable on the ball. Jesper Darland is very comfortable on the ball, but he obviously is still adapting to that physical side of things. But he will want midfielders who can receive the ball under pressure. He needs press-resistant midfielders. Do we have any? Well, Alex Robertson is pretty press-resistant. Ruben Colwell is definitely press-resistant. I think there's questions to be asked about the others. David Turnbull, I'm not so sure about his press resistance, but I think he's an excellent technical footballer who's someone who Brian Barry Murphy may be able to get something out of. Joe Rolls, is there a role for Joe under Brian Barry Murphy? My feeling is that yes, he will be at the club, but my feeling is also that he'll look for someone who's got a bit more legs in him to play in that 6 role, with Joe coming off the bench would be my guess. Maybe a Joel Colwell, for instance, may get a look in. Who knows? It depends what his remit is with these young players, because they will have a plan for each player. They will talk to the likes of Gavin Chesterfield, Darren Purse, all the people at the academy, and make individual plans for each player. Louis Giles, someone I would like to see really in the squad. Ronan Kepakia will be looking to push on. Dylan Lawler, I think, is vital that we really utilise him in the first team this year if we're going to keep him. I worry that we won't keep him because of lack of playing time. We shall see. Overlapping fullbacks is another one, which doesn't suit Perry NG, does suit Ronan Kepakia. So we're going to delve into the risks a little bit now, but we're going to do a full video on this. The risks, look, he's never managed outside of League One. He's never managed under the sort of pressure and expectations that he'll have at Cardiff City. He's not known for working under that intense pressure as a manager. Of course, he's worked in high pressure situations, but Cardiff is not a development team. Doesn't have a football structure above him at the moment, or at least as we're aware. He doesn't have a footy operations team around him, so that is going to be difficult. There's no sporting director, so he hasn't got that support above him at the moment. If results start slowly, could the fans start to see him as a bit of a puppet for the board and things like that, the usual things that get thrown at people? I don't believe that's the case, but it is what it is. Like, imagine trying to teach positional play and patience to players who last season looked like they were literally chasing ghosts. You got to wish him luck. But as I say, we'll delve into the risks a bit more deeper in the next video. The potential upside. If Cardiff City can give him the support and the staff around him, I believe that he can build something truly special. I believe that Cardiff City have got themselves a gem, and I believe that Cardiff City have got someone who can completely modernise the playing style, the first team squad, and the football club. If he's able then to use his contacts to bring 1 or 2 talents in, then that is also game-changing. Already I've heard a few whispers about a couple from Leicester, 1 or 2 from Man City. Of course, we won't get them all, but it's fascinating to see, because some of those young lads are supremely talented, probably far too good to play for Cardiff City, and long-term will be far too good to play in League One. It's a long-term coach with a vision, so we've got to give him time. The club has to back him like they've not backed any recent manager, and we have to slowly build out this infrastructure around him to give him the best chance of succeeding. Because ultimately, if Brian Barry Murphy succeeds, Cardiff City will succeed. What now for Cardiff City? Look, it is my opinion that we still need a sporting director. Brian Barry Murphy needs a football brain with him to help bounce ideas off and to take the pressure off him on some of the issues that he doesn't need to be thinking about. A Stephen McPhail, an Oshane Roberts, these types of figures, I'm not saying either one of them, I'm just saying these types of figures are people who can completely transform the way Cardiff City is run on a day-to-day basis, both from the football side and the other side. Recruitment. We have to match his playing style. We have to give him players that suit the way he wants to play. We have to give him technically proficient footballers who are intelligent and very mobile. There's no point in giving him club signings who don't fit the way he wants to play. You want to be able to bring these club signings in, fine, but make sure they suit the manager that you've just brought in, who everyone is, or a lot of people are very excited about. He will give the kids a proper pathway into the first team. No more token bench appearances or being on the squad, in the squad but not playing. He will give them the opportunity if they're good enough. Can he fix the chaos off the pitch? Can he be the man who's calm and quiet in the dugout and in the press conferences and allow this football club to settle and fight its way back to the Championship? And finally, genius or a gamble? Well, here we are. Brian Barry Murphy is the new Cardiff City manager. It's a name which for some won't trend, won't grab their headlines or won't grab their attention, but he might just be the fit for a quiet revolution at the football club, and it's certainly someone we desperately need. Any appointment is a gamble, no doubt, but for once it's a gamble with a footballing IQ to match it. If the club backs him, supports him with a structure, gives him something to build, that in turn gives the fans something to believe in, and this could be the start of something quite special. But if we throw him in with no help, skeleton coaches, no vision, no patience, well then it's just going to be on another name on the list who goes up in flames in a matter of months, and we'll be talking about interim managers before you know it. I want to know what you guys think. I know some of you are unsure, some of you are very excited. Let me know in the comments what you think, why you think it. Give me that context, because I love to hear from all of you. I love to hear different opinions. I love it when people disagree. I love it when people agree. It's all about opinions. I'm excited. I'd be a hypocrite if I said I wasn't. But what do you guys think of the appointment? Is it a smart move, a cheap option? Let me know in the comments. Hit like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Please spread the word about Cardiff City World. 7 days a week, Cardiff City content, by fans, for fans. And if you can, become a member, because that allows us to do so. I will see you in the next one. Keep the faith. In a bit.